how you all doing? Hope you're keeping safe out there. Well, god damn it, that Spider-Man No Way Home trailer dropped, didn't it? Lord, this looks like it's going to be a damn good film. I mean, like, I haven't really been a massive fan of the first two Tom Holland Spider-Man films, but this one, oh, it's hit the nostalgia quite hard, isn't it? Look at all those villains. It's going to be damn cool, isn't it? I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to go watch it with some mates of mine down in Manchester. It's going to be brilliant. But it did get me thinking, mainly about how to exploit the YouTube algorithm here, but it did get me thinking, like, we've already had one wave of Spider-Man Marvel Legends set to this film. It was an okay wave, but now we know who else is in this movie. What other figures are we going to get? And in that, you know, in the spirit of that idea, here's this video. I'm going to title it Marvel Legends Spider-Man No Way Home Wave 2. What are we going to get? Or what do we hope we're going to get? Okay, so I'm just going to take inspiration from the original wave, or should I say the first wave, which had 4 movie figures, a Gameverse Miles Morales, 2 comic book figures, and a comic book Build-A-Figure. Now I'm just going to... yeah, I'm going to put Miles Morales, the Gameverse one, as a comic book figure, so the wave kind of breaks down as 4 movie figures, 3 comic book figures, and a Build-A-Figure. I think that should be alright. Maybe not. Actually, no, I'll tell you what, no. No, I'll do 3 movie figures, 4 comic book figures, and a Build-A-Figure. And the Build-A-Figure might be movie-based, who knows? But, okay, let's look at this. Well, here's the breakdown of the wave. So, here's the 6 figures that went into making the Armadillo Build-A-Figure. Pretty cool. So let's just wipe all them off the screen and just leave it blank. Actually, no, there was a 7-figure wave, wasn't it? Because that one Spider-Man didn't come with any Build-A-Figure waves, so didn't come with any Build-A-Figure parts in the wave. So let's put a little, another little square up there for that. Okay, tidy. So, okay, let's start with that figure first. What's it going to be? I reckon it's going to be that Iron Spider, the comic book version, that was shown off recently by Hasbro. It fits with the theme, because, like, the Iron Spider, the MCU version, is in this film, so why not put the comic book version in here? Not only that, but because it's an all new sculpt, like it's got the pinless joints, which I absolutely love, all the extra sculpted details, and those 3, and the comic books, they call them Waldo arms, I don't know why, but those 3 arms, it is a lot of plastic in there. I think like any figure deserves to be a release on its own without a Build-A-Figure piece in the wave. It's this guy, because it looks magnificent. Really great representation of the comic book design, and yeah, that backpack, it's the extra legs, the Waldos. I can see it being a solo release, a Build-A-Figure piece-less release in the wave. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna put my money down on that thing because it looks so damn good. Okay, so the first movie figure, it's got to be Green Goblin. I mean, Green Goblin looks great in this film. It's the classic design from the Sam Raimi films. I say classic. Sam Raimi was 20 years ago now. Oh Jesus Christ, it was nearly 20 years ago, wasn't it? But yeah, in the movie they brought back the Sam Raimi design. It looked better somehow, which I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same suit, like aesthetically, but it just looks better. It really does. I like the suit itself is a nice semi-real world version of the Green Goblin costume, but it's unique in its own sense. It's as memorable as the comic book version while taking its own ideas on how to represent a Green Goblin-esque costume in the real world. And it did have a figure back in the day. It had several actually, but the most notable one was this like superposable sort of Marvel Legends-esque one, which came with a glider and a removable mask. I actually had this figure. It was really good. I think I have it somewhere like tucked away in the back of my parents' shed or in the loft somewhere. It's probably worth a bit of money now my look. But yeah, a newly sculpted figure following this design would look really, really good as the first villain in the wave. And of course, speaking about villains, next one, it's got to be Doc Ock. As I say that, speaking about villains, maybe he isn't, because obviously if you watch Spider-Man 2, he is villainous, but it's not really his fault, and he might not be as villainous in this film by looking at the trailer, but yet again, another great Spider-Man character from the movies that they've brought into this one, and he just looks really good in the trailer. It's amazing how they've made him look, well, 20 years younger. It's amazing. This de-aging technology is brilliant. It looks it looks great, because you can see it looks exactly like he did back then. It's uncanny. But they have of course made a few alterations to it. Like there's this great scene where they show the nanotechnology from the Iron Spider suit sort of integrating its way into his tentacles. That's a brilliant little thing they've done there. Really great way of increasing the danger maybe, or maybe giving him more control over the tentacles. It's going to be interesting, but yeah, because like Doc Ock was the best part of Spider-Man 2, which was like the best Spider-Man film, because in this house we don't mention Spider-Man 3. We don't. The Sandman was good, that's brilliant, but Venom was awful in that. Everything else apart from that was awful. Just, no. But yeah, a figure of him would be great. Though in my heart, I really wish if we were going to get another Doc Ock figure, it's like we had the classic green and yellow one not long ago. Can we get the like 90s, like bit more svelte Doc Ock in the white suit with the tentacles coming out the sides? That'd be really great. I mean, that was the Doc Ock that was in the comic books when I started reading. It's also the design they've gone back to in the comic books recently, like in the Beyond storyline. He's going to appear relatively soon. Like that, he's getting his own little mini-series in Devil's Reign, where he tries to like assemble a team of Doc Ocks from across the multiverse. It's a great design, which if you're not going to go for the classic green and sort of like chubby green and yellow one, go for this one. It's iconic in my opinion. But either way, they're probably going to go with a movie design, obviously. But they've done it before. Yet again, Spider-Man 2 had a line of Marvel Legend-esque figures. It was an okay figure. If they wanted to improve upon it, like get a figure like, say, the Old Man Logan one, the one in the 2-pack, with the duster and the coat and all that lot. And I'm not saying like that exact one exactly, but it's that sort of aesthetic to how well they're sculpting coats now. They're sort of fitting over a figure. Do it something like that. That would look really good. Have the tentacles coming out the back. Champion. Next one, another villain from the film they show off, Electro. He looks really good in this. I was kind of worried when they said they're going to bring Jamie Foxx back, but no, it looks really good. It's a nice costume. I like the fact they got like the star-shaped mask thing on him. It looks really nice. It's a lot better than that god-awful version they had back in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I really like that film, but Electro looks so bad in that. It was bitten by genetically altered electric eels. What the bloody hell was that idea for? And the blue and it looked terrible. At least this design brings in the classic Electro look of just yellow lightning, the yellow star-shaped mask, and like I really like it. Like it's a great way of sort of like stepping back from the design mistakes from Amazing Spider-Man 2 and incorporating a MCU design which is both unique and referential to the comic book design. And I actually had the Marvel Legends figure of that Jamie Foxx Electro. It was bad. It really was. I think I bought it for the hands for an effect part for another figure. But like, if they wanted to make a figure, of the new MCU design, it wouldn't be that hard. I mean, like you take something like like I mentioned the Old Man Logan figure earlier. Take the Hawkeye from that box set, because he's got the trousers, the boots, the shirt. Maybe give him different arms, so because Electro looks like he's got like a sleeves on his shirt, not just a sleeveless one. Head sculpt, maybe some clear yellow effect, an alternate head with the clear yellow effect parts for the way the electricity creates the mask. Just shove all the gubbins on it, like like the pouches and cabling and that lot. The extra parts you put in a Marvel Legends figure to give it character. It's really gonna be really cool if they did this one. It'd be great, just it'd just be really nice to see all those doodads and little bits and gribbly bits of costume detailing. Really good, really good. And okay, that's it for like the movie figures. So on to more of a comic book style. We've had 3 villains, admittedly 1 hero, but 3 villains in a row. Go for a hero. Who better than Mayday Parker, the Amazing Spider-Girl? Because Spider-Girl bloody rocks. She's one of my favourite comic book characters that came out in probably my teenage years. Yeah, it's like Mayday Parker, the daughter of Peter Parker and Mary Jane, in a world where she didn't die during the Clone Saga. Pretty much what the original Clone Saga was meant to lead into, before they lost their nerve, and rather than having the baby being kidnapped, it was Aunt May, and it turned out the one that died was an actress, and it bollocks. Clone Saga, brilliant until it's not, epic until it fails. Just But anyway, in this version of history, Mayday Parker becomes Spider-Girl. It's set in the MC2 universe, and it's a really great book. I think she's got like the record for the longest running Marvel female-led comic book, like 100 and some odd issues. Really great. And she has had figures before. Actually had it. She had a Marvel Legends figure that came out in the Hobgoblin wave. It was okay. It was on that teen female body. The body itself wasn't bad per se, but it had quite limited articulation. It's that diaphragm joint that female figures have. That's the problem with it. Also, the hips were very restricted. It's just got the one thing I hate most in the world. One came with one pair of hands. Just all it had was permanent, web whipping hands. Just permanent fists, permanent wall crawling hands. Either of those two are preferable to permanent whipping hands. It just looked awful. Not only that, but I've never seen a copy of it where the paint on the shoulders just wasn't awful. There's something about where the web pattern goes over the shoulders where it just never seemed to be painted properly. But if they're going to do a new figure of her, where would they start? I mean, it's a really nice classic costume. It's the Ben Reilly Spider-Man costume, but on a female form. And I think really just get that Spider-Gwen figure from the Into the Spider-Verse wave, the one with Stiltman as the build figure. Obviously changed the lower leg so she has got the ballet boots, but as to the rest of it, it was a pretty okay diaphragm joint, maybe adding a little bit more of a range of motion, hopefully maybe work the ball joint in there a bit better. But it had interchangeable hands, it had a great figure, it had pinless joints. You could even keep the same mass, but the head sculpt under the hood is exactly the same near enough. Just paint the black rather than pink for the eyes. Obviously paint on the details, give her some web shooters on her wrists. Jobs are good, and as I say, big peeve of mine, if you're going to do a Spider-Man figure, like that Spider-Gwen came with punching hands and web flipping hands. If you're doing a Spider-Man figure, it's got to have wall crawling hands as well. I mean, even when they did the retro release Spider-Man figure, that came with whipping hands and punching hands, and everyone went off to find the Electro and the Ultimate Spider-Man 2-pack. I mean, I did. I know a lot of people did as well, because it had wall crawling hands that fit and fitted in quite well with it. Hasbro realised this, so now when they're doing Spider-Man figures using that exact same body, like the upcoming Ben Reilly one, they're including wall crawling hands as well as fists and flipping hands. So, Hasbro have learned that if you're going to do a Spider-Man figure or a Spider-Person figure, you really need all three. You can't cheap out on this. So just pet peeve of mine, if they do a Spider-Girl, they've definitely got, because they've got the flipping hands and the fists that come with that Gwen, so they haven't got to sculpt anything new. And I'm sure they've got teen splayed open hands. The basic female splayed open hand. They've got a teen version. That'd be brilliant on there. And right, next figure, maybe I'd go about a comic book villain. Something off the wall. I don't know, Swarm. Why the hell not? Like a real Marvel weird what the hell villain. And if you want to know more about Spawn? God no, I've said the devil's name. Swarm. I recommend the Maybe Marvelites channel. It's got a nice video on it to just quickly sum it up. Nazi fell into evil bees, evil Nazi fell into bees, got devoured by them, became the conscious of their swarm, and in the Marvel fashion, became a supervillain. He's a pretty classic villain. He's fought Spider-Man, the Champions, Daredevil. He's fought a lot of characters. He's a silly, living swarm of bees who decides to wear a pair of goggles, gloves, and a cape and hood. That's it. Marvel, silly as hell. I love it. He's even in modern day comics, they make him look a bit scary, because I think they realised, the idea of a swarm of giant killer bees is actually a bit terrifying, so let's make him a bit more of a horrific character, which works just as well. And he has had a figure before. He had one in the Toy Biz Spider-Man, I think it was the Spider Force line. That was it, yeah. Where he came with a giant bee that turned into armour. The bee is rubbish, but the figure itself was really cool. They made it look like it was just a body made up of little bees. It was like a sandy texture, but when you're a kid, you look at it, it's not sand, it's bees. Clearly it's bees. It's a good figure. I didn't actually have it myself. A friend of mine had it, and I tried finding one for years. Not been able to yet, but I might track one down. And then, when it comes to actually making it, well, I think a lot of the figure, if you take the Hobgoblin figure, the one that's coming out of retro, in the upcoming retro wave, and it's the same sculpt as the one that came out in the Space Venom wave. It's got that tattered cape that would work really well. They've shown they can sculpt hoods because he's got this very similar. He's actually got a very similar hood to the Hobgoblin, so that would work nicely. Hands had those glove parts from the Hobgoblin yet again. That would work. And just sculpt a, yeah, they'd have to sculpt a whole new body where it was just all texturized. But that's not too hard to do. I mean, you could take a basic book body and digitally add texture to it when it comes to the sculpting process. It might be tedious, so it might be difficult, it might be a little bit expensive. Maybe cast it in clear yellow with a good wash to make it look like a massive beast, but it would be an interesting figure, and definitely one people wouldn't be expecting, but yeah, again, would still look really good on the shelves. So yeah, and what does that leave me with? Oh yeah, one more figure. Let's go weird hero this time. Ooh. It's a Spider-Man wave. When else are you going to get... pardon me. It's a Spider-Man wave. When else are you going to get to be able to do this? The bombastic Bagman. And yeah, this is a definite weird one here, folks, but just bear with me here. Bagman is effectively just Spider-Man. Spider-Man wearing an old Fantastic Four costume with a paper bag over his head and a kick me sign taped to his back. Yeah, God, I love comic books. Effectively, it was right after getting the black costume, the symbiote version, removed by the Fantastic Four. Peter Parker was left with nothing to wear, and he had to get home. And he had to cover his identity because he didn't want the Fantastic Four at the time knowing who he really was. So Johnny Storm, being an absolute arsehole, and a lovable fellow at that, gave him an old Fantastic Four costume and put a paper bag over his head. Then dropped him off in the middle of New York with a kick me sign taped to his back and made him walk the rest of the way home because his web shooters had... I was going to say his web shooters ran out, but he didn't even have them on because he'd been using the symbiote for so long. So yeah, he had to walk home dressed like the bombastic Bagman. And he did appear... Like, circumstances have been cruel to Peter Parker, so there have been other times where he's had to put a paper bag over his head and return as the bombastic Bagman. But yeah, he's always like... he's down his luck. It's always a joke when he has to wear the costume. But at the same time, it'd be an interesting one to have. Like, they did a toy a bit before in the Marvel Universe line. It's like a variant of the Future Foundation costume. It was silly, but I kind of like it. It's my kind of silly. And as far as making the figure, it's mainly just like get that Walgreens Mr. Fantastic figure. This is the right costume. Give it a different head. Just sculpt a head that's a paper bag. Just take it on there. Jobs are good. And give him some Spider-Man hands that fit. Maybe put some bare feet on the figure. Paint them up. It's going to look really good. It's got. If they did it, it'd be a silly figure, but it'd be a fun silly figure. But that's it for the individual figures. Well, what about the builder figure? What should we go for here? I mean, like, there's loads of ideas for builder figures because, like, Spider-Man has a lot of larger characters, but up first, maybe something a bit more. Ooh, wish fulfillment here. The Man Spider. Like, if you ever watched the 90s cartoon, you knew who the Man Spider was. Spider-Man just mutated uncontrollably into a giant six-armed spider person, a man spider. And it's always looked really good whenever it's appeared in the comic books or in cartoons and other mediums. It's always looked fantastic. It's horrific. It's viscerally monstrous. And it's perfect for a builder figure. I mean, they've done figures of it before. There was one in the old Toy Biz Spider-Man line from the cartoon. There was two versions actually. One, a solo release, which I did actually have, and then a repaint in a box set. Then we didn't get anything until the last Man Spider figure, which was all the way back in Wave 1 of Spider-Man classics. Pre-Marvel Legends, really, which was Spider-Man 90% of the way mutated into the Man Spider. And that was great. Yeah, again, wonderfully horrific in the design. And we could really do with another one. I mean, yeah, it'd basically be working from the ground up on a whole new figure, but when if you're gonna do a Marvel Legends line based around probably the biggest film of the year for Marvel, people are gonna buy it. You can spend that money on making a really just lavish and beautiful builder figure. And another one which is definitely wish fulfillment here, the Spider Hulk. Spider-Man turned into the Hulk. This is a classic. I'm so excited, my tongue seems to not work. It's a classic design from a classic issue of Web Spider-Man number 70. I close my eyes, then I think what it is. It's up on the bloody screen. Yeah, Web Spider-Man number 70, where Spider-Man got given the powers of the Hulk. You get Marvel silliness, but it's my kind of silliness. It's brilliant, and it's happened a couple more times since that Parker look, where Peter Parker's turned into the Hulk again, and it's a silly design, but it's kind of popular because he's had a number of toys. Like he's had a few like the statuesque figures, you know, the collectibles kind. There's always ones there, but he's had other figures. He's had a Disney toy box, which is like I don't actually know what it is. I know it's a figure line of Marvel and Disney toys in like a smaller scale for young kids. He's had a figure of that in an exclusive 5-pack. That was cool. He had a full-on like Marvel Legends style figure years ago in the Spider-Man. It wasn't Marvel Legends as such. It was Marvel Legends-esque in the articulation, but it was just a Spider-Man line. That was really cool. He's had a pop vinyl recently as well, which is a large Spider Hulk. I've actually tried to track that down, struggling so far, but I need to get that to go in my collection. So yeah, it shows there's desire and popularity in the design, and as far as Build-A-Figure, making it goes, it's just the Hulk in a Spider-Man costume. You could easily take, say, the 80th anniversary Hulk as a base figure, and just sculpt the costume details onto it. Or, even if they were just being lazy. I mean, the 80th anniversary Hulk has pants. Just make the pants look like Spider-Man's costume, the lower part. Put a Spider-Man mask on him. Yeah, it wouldn't be overly accurate, but it's still a Spider-Hulk. I'd happily have that in my collection. I'm not going to lie, I'd happily pay for something like that to sit on my shelf. Yeah, and I suppose, the last idea for Build-A-Figure is one that they probably will go with, if I'm honest. And the one I'm least excited for, the lizard from The Amazing Spider-Man. It wasn't a great design, but it's he appears in the trailer, and I'm not going to get into the whole thing of there's a version of the trailer where he gets hit by an invisible person, and that obviously shows off there's Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the film, but anyway, he's in the film. I mean, they're reusing the design from The Amazing Spider-Man. It's an okay design. It's a little flat face for me. Ironically, it's probably more realistic to what a giant lizard would be, but I don't know, never quite sat right with me. And I think it has had other figures in the past. Probably the best one of those was the Marvel Select. It was really good. It was big enough to fit in with Marvel Legends scale figures as a proper sized version of the lizard, and it was pretty well sculpted and painted. But just as personal preference, to me that lizard design doesn't really work. I like the lizard to be more snouty, to look more like an alligator in essence, and to have the clothes on. He's got to have the black trousers, the purple shirt, and the lab coat at least. If he has nothing else, he needs the lab coat. And I know there was a Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure a couple of years ago which was of the lizard, and that pretty much nailed it, like 99%. Maybe went a bit too far with the snoutiness, because it looks like it has a T-Rex head rather than an actual modern day lizard head like an iguana or something like that. But that's still a brilliant figure. Actually, if they re-release that, it's hell of expensive to get in the second market nowadays. Second release, that would be nice. But I can see that lizard being the Build-A-Figure. It probably will be, to be honest. Well, that's it, folks. Those are the ideas I had, and just to quickly run through them again, if I just throw them all up on the screen as a wave diagram. So the comic book Iron Spider-Man, which you've already seen revealed. The Sam Raimi / now in the MCU Doc Ock, MCU / Raimiverse Green Goblin, same Electro, MCU / Raimiverse, comic book style villain Swarm, comic book hero Spider-Girl, the bombastic Bagman. And as far as Build-A-Figure goes, those are the 3 ideas I've had: Man Spider, Spider-Hulk, and the Amazing Spider-Man version of the lizard. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a comment down below, like if you want to, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. And until next time, I want you all to stay safe, stay sane, and keep on rolling. And I'll see you all next time. Ta-da!